Never, ever, ever in my life have I seen any transaction so incompetently negotiated as our deal with Iran. And I mean never. Our president is calling the person who is really the boss in Iran supreme leader. And we are led by very, very stupid people. Very, very stupid people. We cannot let it continue.
That, of course, was GOP frontrunner Donald Trump speaking at a protest staged by Mr. Trump and fellow presidential candidate Ted Cruz today on Capitol Hill. The event was designed to speak out against the Iran nuclear deal and comes on the day that House Republicans were scheduled to vote on a resolution to disapprove the agreement, a vote now delayed as the House assesses what will happen in the Senate now that there are 41 Democrats available to sustain a filibuster against such a resolution of disapproval in that body. Some conservative members of Congress argue that there is no point to passing a resolution of disapproval when they know that it will only fail in the Senate, and they would prefer to pass legislation requiring that the president comply with the bill passed earlier by the House, which requires the president to reveal all aspects of the nuclear agreement. Does it make any sense that the House battle goes on when we know that nothing it passes will get through the Senate? John Fund.
This is such a bad deal, Rick. I think anything that goes on the record demonstrating how perfidious this was is probably a good thing, because we're going to have to revisit this in a year and a half with a new president, I think regardless of which party. And it's probably a good idea for Congress to put all of this on the record, so frankly a bunch of people can say I told you so.
It's not going to go on the record. Were they to pass a
I'm
resolution
talking about the
disapproval?
This is really about laying down the facts.
This is really about politics.
No, it's laying down the facts.
Noah?
Democrats, from Jim Woolsey to Ben Cardin of Maryland to Chuck Schumer and a whole range of Democrats, that's not politics.
And Republicans like Senator Lugar, who just told me he very much favors the deal.
What every single Republican in the Senate who currently has access to the intelligent briefings that Senator Lugar does not have access to opposes the deal. That tells you something.
Okay, Noah, you're up.
I completely agree with John. There's some argument about whether or not a disapproval resolution would trigger some elements of the Corker-Cardin legislation that would result in a lot of politics, again, of disagreement over whether or not this deal can be implemented, but ultimately it falls on the executive and it will be implemented. So there is something of a political debate, but all of this is very complicated. What we saw on the steps of the Capitol today was something very simple, which was blame Republican leadership for the implementation of this deal, which is ultimately very self-serving, misleading, and I think it directs conservatives towards the wrong culprit here. You could be speaking in a uniform voice against this deal and addressing it towards the president, but they're not. They're trying to advance their political careers.
And let me just add one thing. Some of the opposition to this deal is pretty opportunistic. Donald Trump gave voice to a lot of frustration people have with this deal, and then typically he went over the top. He actually said, and I took notes, he actually said, the 4 prisoners the American prisoners in Iran that were not part of this deal, we will get them back. In fact, I guarantee, he said it twice, I guarantee, if I'm elected president, they will be returned before I'm sworn in. Now, I have to tell you, I know Donald Trump is the art of braggadocio, as well as the deal. But this is so over the top. You have to ask yourself, is this a serious, well, I know he's not a serious person, but can't he pretend to be a serious candidate?
The art of grandstanding. You know what it reminds me of, before you get to your question? When Reagan, right before he was inaugurated, then we were able to get the hostages home.
Yeah, amazing how that happened.
Right,
that's
so I think that's what he's trying to, of course.
But to guarantee it.
That's a little dangerous.
He's effectively guaranteeing war.
I actually,
more or less,
well,
yes.
no, I agree with him that it's going to happen, but for a very different reason. I look at this and I see the Cuban Missile Crisis resolution, where we agreed quietly, off the record, off the public record, that we would take the
missiles out of Turkey.
It's a good thing they did, or you and I wouldn't be sitting here to take the missiles out of Turkey 4 months after the deal, which is what they did. No harm, no foul. Same thing's going to happen here.
I don't think you can do that in the internet age, though.
I think you can, and I think you will.
Bobby Kennedy made that deal, by the way.
Yes, he did. Does it trouble you at all that, look, I can see both sides of this deal. I hear John Fund. I understand what's troubling him about the deal, and it makes sense. I hear people arguing for the deal. I hear the elements that make sense in that direction. Does it make you nervous when anybody, whether they're for it or against it, takes a strong stand when you can't possibly know how this is going to turn out for a couple of years.
Donald Trump took that stand, and Ted Cruz took that stand, and Sarah Palin took that stand because they saw the Pew poll that came out today that said 21% now, only 21%, 1 in 5 support this deal. I think what came out of today
so they're doing the politics of it, not the what's in the national interest.
I think it's both. I think it's both. But what's more interesting is that Trump and Cruz, the way they align, I think if you're looking for a running mate for Donald Trump if he gets a nomination, I think it's Ted Cruz, no doubt. Ted Cruz never criticized him in any way, and he's looking for a senator, somebody that's a politician without...
He'll get Texas anyhow, so it's going to go somebody where he can get some votes. Maybe. You can share your thoughts on the Iran deal by going to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Coming up next, we're going to read some of those comments because it's that time of the show. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.